In today's clip, I'll go over how you can tell whether you should be in the market for a financial advisor and whether I've used one personally. Hey, XenPuck here. Oh man, feels like forever since I've gotten back on topic with a fire-related video. Today's question that I see some people ask is, what are my thoughts on financial advisors, right? The world's certainly changing, and these days it's easier than ever to manage your own portfolio, right? But frankly, I do think that a financial advisor can make sense within certain contexts. Please comment, like, subscribe, and share if this kind of stuff is up your alley, because that will bring a smile to my face. First, some caveats on where I don't think they make sense, right? Do not get one to help you stock pick, right? The best hedge fund managers can't beat the market over decades, so you think your local brick and mortar advisor can do better? That's just absurd, okay? But that's not what all an advisor should advise an individual on, right? Most people could use a lifetime plan that can be adjusted as their life circumstances change. So when I say, hey, go get an advisor, it is really in this capacity that I'm thinking of. Also, I'd argue that you should at least have a six-figure net worth before thinking of asking someone else for advice. And if you're not at that stage yet, just work on making money first, right? That might sound harsh, but I do think that it is true. Anyone working in the first world should be able to get to over 100K in net worth in a reasonable amount of time. Anyway, so here are how I think you should determine whether you should go get yourself one of these, and also what I've done personally. Number one, if your financial situation is getting complicated for your own level of knowledge. Now, some people I know simply work a lot, either at their main job or with their side hustles, right? To the point where it's unreasonable to expect these people to also be well-read and educated on matters of personal finance as well. On the other hand, if you just work a 9 to 5 and go home and play video games, then I'd say devote some time to expand your own knowledge base first, right? Because having a person help you with money, well, costs money, right? Again, if you have investments in various disciplines and want to know, let's say, what new venues like crowdsourced artworks or what percentage is reasonable to devote into crypto, then an advisor might be able to help plan for you and mitigate risks in a more comprehensive level or fashion. Point number two, if you're willing to do the work to actually find an advisor that gives the specific type of advice that you want, right? Get a fiduciary, get someone who doesn't get paid, based on what product they get you to buy, yada yada. I'm not going to go too in-depth in this particular category, but even finding an advisor actually requires plenty of upfront work, okay? Remember, this is someone who's going to intimately know your money business. I mean, for most people, that's as close as one gets to your family or even some of your best friends, right? Now, I'm a cynic, so designations such as fiduciary means very little to me. It sounds great on paper, but this is a personal relationship business, right? Just like how doctors can still turn out to be real a-holes and mistreat you, so can your financial advisor, no matter what title or designation they use, right? So please take caution and do your own research and due diligence, right? This should take time considering how important a role a financial advisor will take in any particular person's life, right? Point number three. If you really understand that at the end of the day, it's still your money, and therefore, the buck stops with you, the responsibility is with you. Now, in the FIRE community itself, there's a big general disdain for advisors, right? Now, I think that's because a lot of people misunderstand their role. Again, I'm going to compare them to doctors, right? Doctors can tell you to cut out junk food, but it's still up to the person to execute that plan, right? To stop eating the junk food. Same with financial advisors, right? Most are just giving advice based on your circumstances. At the end of the day, we are still responsible on how to execute any such plan. I often read about how advisors take all the heat when something doesn't work out. But hey, this is the markets and investments that we're talking about. There's always an element of risk. Now, I'm not talking about like if you got swindled by like a Bernie Madoffs of the world, right? The much more common regular scenario is like simply, you want to go against the advisor's type and following some hot trend or whatever, right? Or maybe it's even the advisor, listening to your suggestions and suggesting something that's kind of trendy, right? The only way to avoid this type of victim mentality at the end is still you have to get educated, right? An advisor in any field can help, but we're talking about money here, your own money. There's no substitute for that final decision maker. The buck stops with the individual, okay, not the advisor. If you cannot remember that, then do not get an advisor, because that person will simply become someone to scapegoat and to blame when hiccups inevitably occurs on one's investment journey. All right, now finally, point number 4. Did I ever use a financial advisor? Actually, yes, but only in a one-off circumstance, right? So I don't have an ongoing relationship one. I had a CFP write up a retirement plan for me based on my circumstances after I already retired early. So for me, I'm fairly confident in my own ability to manage my finances, or I wouldn't have quit my job before I talked to a certified financial planner. Plus, I also got the service through my brokerage, Schwab, actually, for free. So it's really more of just kind of a reinforcement from a financial professional that I was looking for. Guess what? She agreed that my level of assets can accomplish what I needed to do, right? So in conclusion, does anybody need a financial advisor or planner? No, I mean, you don't need it. It's not a necessity. But everyone's different, and these guys can serve a purpose if you're not at least leaning math nerd, right? Like me. But like all good things, nothing comes easily. You gotta educate yourself on the field of personal finance no matter what, and people, right? You gotta be able to, like, if you're really great at math, but you can't read people, that's also a problem if you're trying to find a financial advisor. Because it's your money. Unless you're a crook, that money represents your own life force, right? So please, please, please be careful with who you trust with it, right? Cheers. Check out some other videos on the corners.